Let me paint you a picture. The year is 2009. A young high school age Patrick was finally developing a social life and wanted to be able to keep in touch with his friends outside of school. Not to mention it would give his parents some peace of mind knowing they could easily reach him during an emergency. So little teenage Patrick convinced his parents to let him get his very own cell phone. Most phones at this time were your standard flip phones, but I wasn't really interested in those because texting using T9 looked like a nightmare. So I ended up getting an LG Rumor. It looked like a pretty standard cell phone of the era, but then you turned it on its side and bam, full slide-out QWERTY keyboard. I loved snapping that thing open with authority, like I was getting down to business. And I could fire off text way faster than I ever could using T9. And when I was done, I closed it with another satisfying snap, like a cowboy holstering his gun. I must have looked like such a little dork, but this phone was the coolest thing in the world to me. Now, this phone did have some other onboard apps pre-installed. Your standard stuff like a calendar, an alarm clock, a calculator, but I hardly used any of that stuff. This phone allowed me to do what a phone is built to do: communicate with people. And the best thing was, this phone didn't demand my constant attention. I look back so fondly on my first cell phone. I was even able to use Twitter on this phone. But Twitter didn't have an app until 2010, and I didn't have a phone that could run apps anyways. But I figured it out. I went to the Twitter website and connected my phone number to my account. This allowed me to send and receive tweets directly to my phone via SMS. If I texted the phone number 40404, I'd send a tweet. Likewise, I received tweets from accounts I followed from that number as well. This was long before internet browsers on phones were actually, usable. But I figured out how to access the internet from my phone. I had access to Twitter without a computer. While I was at school even. I could be online 24/7. Teenage Patrick thought this was the absolute coolest thing in the entire world. And if I could go back in time, I would tell my younger self what a fucking idiot he was for thinking this was cool. Now, almost 20 years later, I can't think of any device I hate more than my smartphone. Now we're all constantly online. Now everything has an app, even dishwashers for some reason. Now we live in an attention economy, where app developers make money selling our data and bombarding us with personalized advertisements, which incentivize them to keep us on their apps for even longer. So they purposely design their apps to be as distracting and addictive as possible. This isn't conspiracy theory bullshit either. Our attention is the #1 commodity everyone is fighting over. It's how these companies make money. And now we've paid the price because everyone's attention span is dog shit. Algorithms are trained to better study our scrolling habits so they can better manipulate our attention. Then you got short-form content like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts, which literally work like a gambling addiction. Yeah, just scroll one more video. Maybe this one will scratch your monkey brain in just the right way. Oh no? Maybe just one more. Next thing you know, an hour has gone by. Endless scrolling is legitimately harmful to us. We keep our brains constantly overstimulated, and it makes us feel bored more often, to the point that we grow so uncomfortable without that stimulation. So what do we do to combat this boredom? By picking up our phones and scrolling more and more. It's a vicious cycle. Congratulations, now you need to put on a YouTube video just to eat dinner because you hate silence that badly. And the sad thing is, this isn't real boredom we're feeling. The fact is, we're so overdosed on dopamine that our brains don't know what real boredom is anymore. And now we have the influx of AI. Big tech has already successfully hijacked our brains and turned us all into iPad babies, and that's not enough for them. Now they're trying to tell us, hey, you don't even need to think for yourself anymore. Use our AI assistant to answer your questions with dubious results. Don't bother doing your own research on a subject, just trust us, bro. I've given you enough of my brain. I want my brain back. Does it actually surprise anyone that we're seeing the rising popularity of dumb phones? Some people think it's a fad, but I don't know. It seems a lot of people are waking up to just how harmful all of this is. And more people are choosing to use a dumb phone, or dumbing down their current smartphone, to be more intentional about how much of the internet they let into their lives. People who use dumb phones say that their life feels calmer and they feel less anxious. That's what I want! So what exactly are my options? Of course, I could just get a cheap flip phone. Then I'd be relying on T9 for texting, which if you remember from my story in the beginning, I have no experience with. And I mostly text, so that feels like just adding way more inconvenience to keep in touch with people. Honestly, the Light Phone 3 looks to be the highest quality dumb phone on the market. This company has been around for years, making incredibly minimal phones. The Light Phone 3 runs its own custom operating system with no app store to download social media or other distracting apps. But it has all sorts of modern-day features like Bluetooth, hotspot, music, podcasts. It even has its own direction app as a replacement for Apple or Google Maps. And it has an OLED touchscreen, so that solves my texting problem. The company seems to listen to its customers and constantly updates the firmware. The battery is even replaceable, so if it dies, you don't have to replace your whole phone. All of this and, oh my god, it's $700?! Similar to the Light Phone, the Modita Compact runs its own OS, but you can also sideload Android apps onto it. So if there was some app I absolutely wanted to keep, I could look into how to do that. The Compact's big selling point is its e-ink display, so it will only display in black and white, and it's much easier on the eyes. Way less of that harmful blue light we all hear about. So I think e-ink works perfectly for all the utility you need from a phone, without being the perfect device to be distracted by all day. The Clix Communicator is a recently announced phone I'm very excited to follow updates on. This thing looks like a modern-day BlackBerry with a full QWERTY keyboard. Clix got their start making keyboard accessories for smartphones that I've heard nothing but good things about, aside from the fact that they make your phone super long. But the Communicator is going to pair that keyboard hardware with a smaller screen for what I think looks to be a perfect form factor. But, it's still a smartphone! It runs Android with full access to an app store. I still love the design of this phone. I'm still really excited to follow updates and for it to be released. Well, if I can't decide on a new phone, there's always things I can do with the phone I already have. There are app blockers, other apps that can limit your screen time. I've personally never found these useful. They're just too easy to bypass. Or you can even just delete the app. It's like locking your phone in a safe made of paper. Then you have products like the Brick. This works just like one of those screen time apps, except it's a physical device. You can keep all the distracting apps you want on your phone, but you tap your phone to the Brick using your phone's NFC, and bam, all the distracting apps you choose are blocked. And you can't use them until you tap your phone to it again. I love that it's an actual physical barrier. You can't just bypass it like an app. It looks like a good way to wean yourself off of distracting apps rather than quitting cold turkey. Turn them off during the day, be more present or more productive, then unblock them in the evening. Give yourself a little bit of TikTok, as a treat. Or hell, I could block the entire Google Play Store and then chuck that little Cheez-It into Lake Erie if I wanted to. Or at the very least, put it somewhere really inconvenient to deter me from unblocking everything. At the very least, this thing is way cheaper than buying a whole new phone, so I might give that a try in the future. Despite the growing popularity of dumb phone use, you'll still hear plenty of pushback. Tons of people out there will say, "You don't need all this. Why don't you just exercise more restraint? Just have some discipline. Have a little bit of willpower." I personally find this viewpoint to be incredibly reductive, and it downplays the severity of phone addiction. It may not be the perfect analogy, but I see it like this. Imagine telling an alcoholic to just stop drinking, or to have more self-control, or have some discipline, while also keeping their fridge fully stocked with beer. And this full fridge of beer can also fit in their pocket, and it's on their body practically all day. Whether getting a dumb phone is the answer, or just dumbing down your smartphone, it's obvious people want things to change. Yes, getting a dumb phone comes with its own set of challenges, but a lot of people seem to be willing to face those challenges. Dumb phone users reject the notion that we should be as reliant on our smartphones as we are right now. If we just blindly accept things for how they are, even if we know they're not good for us, we'll never see things change for the better.